You're listening to the Telltale Channel. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check out my Patreon. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. This is Johnny Enlow. If you don't know him, he's a Trump theologist. He kind of represents the Trump theology wing of the Republican Party. It's a really good insight into how they view things. Do they think that Trump is violating the Constitution, for example? He is, objectively, violating the Constitution. But do they think so? Listen to this.
We're actually experiencing some things that in some ways violate some aspects of the Constitution because there is a needing to reclaim the nation now.
So yes, the answer is yes. They do believe that Trump is violating the Constitution. That couldn't be any clearer, right? This guy, by the way, knows congressmen, prays over congressmen on stage with them regularly. Extremely influential in the Trump theology movement, or just in the evangelical movement generally. Very well known. And not just in the United States either. Very well known across the world.
Well, isn't that purportedly in an emergency act by the president, which we are under? Yes. He has the right to thwart the Constitution. He just pretends not to.
Wow. He has the right to thwart the Constitution for emergencies. No, he doesn't. Doesn't matter what emergency is going on. You don't have the right to thwart the Constitution. What?
Just pretends not to.
Right. But him.
I don't want to state your case there, but yeah.
No, I want you to.
He's pretending to go by the Constitution as long as he can, even though he doesn't have to right now, because we're in an emergency, a state of emergency.
No, that's not how it works. Sometimes some governments allow for emergency powers to exist, but every time a dictator comes in, they always abuse the emergency powers, which is why emergency powers should be taken very seriously and be put down immediately when the emergency is over. For example, Justin Trudeau declared a state of emergency when there was this big protest happening, I think a trucker protest or something, and they claimed that he would never put the emergency powers down, and he did. And that was the end of it. I think something like that happened in Australia as well, not a few years ago. People worry that dictators are going to take those emergency powers and abuse them. And that's exactly what Donald Trump is doing. Emergency powers, I would venture as far as to say they shouldn't exist. If there's a genuine, real, actual emergency, Congress should be able to come together and solve that emergency. I mean, I'd be willing to hear arguments for or against, but one man should not have emergency powers that expand to that degree. These people have been complaining about how Joe Biden was a dictator for 4 straight years. And now we have an actual dictator, a real, actual authoritarian dictator. And they are jumping over backwards to defend him and justify him breaking the Constitution. Emergency powers are defined in the Constitution. So if he's using emergency powers, then it's not unconstitutional. That's not what's happening. He's just violating the Constitution. Oh yeah, and I'm sorry, and one more thing. There is no emergency. What emergency? There's no emergency happening right now. Why would he be using these powers?
The state of emergency. I think that's what...
Yeah, so for instance, his statements against media and calling out CNN, MSNBC by name, ABC, and the way he's gone after them could be considered, if they were fair media, it could be considered in some way unfair persecution of them. But because he's actually telling the truth that they are compromised, they're not true media outlets. They are compromised agents of...
Look, it doesn't matter. Fox News is the most partisan, radicalized news outlet out there. And they spew all kinds of nonsense that doesn't give Biden the right, when he was president, to sue them, to persecute them, to shut them down. Guess what? The president is not the arbiter of truth. The media is supposed to hold people accountable. It is a method of holding people accountable, and he's trying to erase that.
The darkness that he's trying to rescue the nation from, he's allowed to state certain things that wouldn't normally be acceptable. We'll put it that way.
So you're clearly saying he's doing things that are bad, objectively bad, that we would not want a president to do. Taking advantage of situations, manipulating things and people and situations, and you're excusing that because it's Donald Trump. The same cult of personality formed around pretty much every dictator in history. Hitler, Kim Jong-un, they all have cults of personality like this, where people become obsessed with them, think that they're godlike creatures, godlike figures. This cult of personality forms and it makes them scandal proof. They could literally shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and it wouldn't matter. They'll be loved anyway. Sign up for my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that very much. It would mean so much to me. This is like a really precarious moment in history, in U.S. history, and for me personally. So it would mean a lot if you sign up for my Patreon. Check out cultarchive.org. I did a cult test, basically, where you can see if you're in a cult, and you can look at the historical tests of other groups that already went through this. Also, check out my merch. I have a whole bunch of really cool shirts and stuff. Really interesting. I would really appreciate that. So this guy and many people like him, like Kat Kerr, have a completely warped sense of reality. They have this whole conspiracy theory. It's a QAnon conspiracy where they think after the Civil War, after the Confederacy broke up from the Union, when they rejoined, they believe that they didn't rejoin into the U.S. government. They rejoined into the corporation of the United States, basically. It's a sovereign citizen, garbled, nonsensical thing. It's not true at all. And they say we've only ever had like 17 presidents or whatever. Like Ulysses S. Grant was the last president that was, of the United States government. And they believed that on March 4th, 2021, which was 2 months after Biden was inaugurated, they believed that Trump was going to be secretly inaugurated in a military bunker by the White Hat military because every constitutional amendment applied after 1865 when they rejoined into the corporation of the United States. They think every constitutional amendment that came about after that is null and void. Well, they changed Inauguration Day after it rejoined with the Confederacy from March 4th to January 20th or 21st or whatever. January 20th, I guess. So they think that Biden had a fake inauguration and Trump had a real secret inauguration where he was the real president behind the scenes for those 4 years. Check this out. This is from around March 4th of 2021.
This is something he is saying. That's why I'm emphasizing, even because sometimes we can get into talking about what's going on behind the scenes. I think a whole lot going on behind the scenes. I could have a 30-minute conversation about what I think is really going on there. I'll just say I think we have two presidents. Essentially, one's over the corporation, one's over the republic. One has the essential machinery of the economy and the essential machinery of the military, and one has things to do with other things. That you can say what's left, a little niche there.
So I think he's saying that he believed that Donald Trump controlled the military and the economy, which makes me ask all kinds of questions about egg prices and why they were complaining so much about the economy in the first place if Trump was controlling it. And Biden had everything else, question mark?
And there's a moment of quick confrontation coming where it's going to require that things go back fully visibly in the order that the Lord has said. And that is President Trump will be there. Again, he is. We'll find out. He's been ruling and reigning and, again, accomplishing things that he could not accomplish even if he was in the full role of standing in the presidential seat because of the attacks he would be getting. It's really saving him. There's a kind of a strategic wisdom to...
What, you can't do your job if you're being criticized? Really? Come on. Presidents have been criticized throughout history. Of course you can do your job even if you're being criticized. Get a grip. I'm sorry, man. It's just too much.
Strategic wisdom to do all you can while they have to shoot at somebody else.
So he is not the only one that went down that road, that bizarre road. Kat Kerr also bought into this sovereign citizen nonsense.
Right now, I declare and I call forth our president to take his rightful place, Trump, to come forth right now Step into your destiny that God gave you, called you, appointed you, and anointed you for this time to declare over America, to help America. This is his choice, and we call you forth right now in the name of Jesus Christ, who is with you, who will always be with you. The people are with you. The prophets of God are with you. The military is with you. So come forth, step into your destiny now, saith the Lord.
So she believed that she was going to pound her little stick around and Trump was going to take control of the government in 2021. March 4th, 2021 was the day. It came and went and nothing happened. Nobody said anything. Biden was still in control. Biden was still pulling the strings, and these people were still bitching about it as though Trump was not in power. So did they believe it? I don't think so. I think they were full of shit like Kat Kerr. I think she was full of it. She knew Donald Trump was not in power, but needed to pretend that he was because they falsely prophesied that Trump took control or that he was going to win the election. Absurd. And it's honestly sad to see these people making excuses for Trump ignoring the Constitution now. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. This is Joel Webbon. He is a Christian nationalist Nazi who says things like, we should have public executions. Like, Charlie Kirk's attacker should be publicly executed. It should be broadcast on live TV. He doesn't allow his wife to read certain books. He says black people are the problem in society and we need to segregate, that type of thing. Listen to what he said about Black Lives Matter here.
It seems like what he's kind of saying is, why do white evangelicals struggle with the idea of race? Why do they struggle with those Europeans that colonized and brought Christianity to the world?
And why are you constantly apologizing for that and struggling with white guilt?
Like, race is a real thing. It's not just a social construct. It's in DNA.
Right, because even the conservative guys, when they push back against...
I mean, I gotta say, like, race, the concept of race where people are not equal to each other, that there's an inferior and a superior group, the idea that, you know, there's just a genetic difference between black and white is false. It's a pseudo-scientific idea that was created in the 1700s by botanists at the time. One specific botanist, I forget his name now, but it was fabricated. There was some ethnocentrism, and there were, like, people who believed that, like, you know, Greeks were the best and things like that. But this top-down superior and inferior group mentality did not exist until the 1700s, not in its current form. And now we have race realists who are just, you know, it's a fully pseudo-scientific claim.
And, you know, BLM and, like, you know, we was kings, you know, and all this kind of, like, black people are great and the only things that's ever been bad about them is because they're victims and have been oppressed and blah, 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 blah. And so when BLM and wokeness and all that stuff was going on, there were conservatives who pushed back. They were a little cowardly and a little late, but eventually they pushed back. But even the ones who pushed back,
Who is he talking about?
Pushed back to say, black people aren't that great, but neither are white people, you know, and you're doing identity politics, you know, by, you know, saying that, you know, I'm black and these are my people, but no one should be doing it.
Who said this on the right? Who are you talking about exactly? This is just like a fantasy land that he's constructed. Like, literally none of this is real.
Like the way that it was pushed back against, instead of saying, because what should have been said, and I'll probably get clipped for this, but what should have been said is, hey, cut it out. You need to grow up. Stop throwing a fit. You're throwing a tantrum.
Who? Talking about black people throwing a tantrum?
Stop being a little boy. You're whining and crying about something that's ultimately your fault.
Being murdered by police? I mean, he's talking about BLM. I assume he means the George Floyd protests, right? That was not black people's fault. That was Derek Chauvin's fault. And the problem is that it's entirely too common. It happens way too often. And you know what? I'll take it the extra step and I'll say what's his name? Shaver, that one kid, Shaver, who was like drunk, and that one nutcase like just unloaded his weapon on him or whatever. That was wrong as well. That was evil. It's like, can't we all agree that killing innocent people is wrong? That police opening fire on innocent people is wrong? I don't understand what you're talking about, how you can possibly view things this way. Daniel Shaver, that was his name, I think.
Yeah. Stop blaming it on other people. It's your fault. Because here's the deal. It's like, what was slavery? The richest black people.
Like, who's even talking about slavery? We're not talking about slavery. We're talking about Jim Crow era laws that were used to persecute people, and how that culture of persecution, political persecution, has continued on through the years. We're talking about how people who have black sounding names are less likely to get hired for a job. Tyrone, less likely to be hired for a job than John. That's just one example of systemic racism. Doesn't have to be a racist actor anywhere in the system. It can just be like how things play out. It's the system that's producing racist outcomes. Black people who commit the exact same crimes, have the exact same rap sheet, get longer sentences on average than white people who with the same rap sheet. That's systemic racism. Just a couple of examples. That's not worthy of like bringing up. I shouldn't try to fix that problem. How's this their fault?
On God's green earth are African Americans.
Sorry, step back.
You're whining and crying about something that's ultimately your fault.
Yeah.
Stop blaming it on other people. It's your fault. Because here's the deal. It's like, what was slavery? The richest black people on God's green earth are African Americans.
I don't know about that. I mean, Michael Jordan is pretty rich. Shaq is pretty rich. But there are also like some filthy rich billionaire like African like oil moguls and stuff out there. So, I mean, I don't know that that's true, but that doesn't speak to the black population generally, how they're doing overall in the United States. So I don't know what you're talking about.
If slavery never happened, then you would be in a grass hut.
Yeah.
Right? Well, we need reparations. Your reparations are that you get to live in America.
Honestly, living in a grass hut but being free is far superior to the horrifying experiences given to the black community hundreds of years ago. Being whipped to death, literally to death. But we're not talking about slavery. Again, nobody's talking about slavery. We're talking about unequal treatment under the law. Unfair treatment. We're not talking about being black. It has nothing to do with being black. It has to do with the fact that they're being treated unfairly, that they're being unfairly targeted. Like, what's your hang up with fair treatment under the law? I don't understand. Why are you bitching so much about people being unfairly treated under the law and then trying to correct that? What are you complaining about exactly here? It's like really, really disgusting, dude. This guy is disgusting.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You get to have the Christian religion.
That's
live
right.
better than your ancestors.
Ooh, fantastic. The Christian religion. Super exciting. Thank you so much for that.
The greatest moment in history for any brown or black country is the moment that the white man's ships arrive on your shore, because he brings the gospel of Jesus Christ. He catechizes you and your children. He brings exports. He brings hospitals.
Just a reminder, I would really appreciate it if you guys checked out my Patreon. If you're not going to donate, you don't have to, but follow me there at the very least. owenmorgan.com/Patreon. Just in case something happens with the government or whatever. It would be really good if you had some way to connect with me and my content. I'm really concerned about that. And maybe you should consider that for other creators too. Jesus, dude. This guy is saying you're lucky that you were a slave because you received the gospel and you wouldn't have otherwise. That is fucking disgusting, dude. Straight up disgusting. What's wrong with you? Really? That is sick shit.
Medicine, life expansion increases, GDP and resources increase, medicine increases, and most importantly, you get taught the gospel of Jesus Christ so that you can live longer on earth and then go to heaven instead of hell. That's historically what has happened. That doesn't mean white people haven't sinned. That doesn't mean that they did it all right, that there weren't abusive slave masters, that there weren't, like, that's not to absolve white people of sin. But I'm saying on the big picture, to say, well, black people are victims, black people are oppressed, and white people owe us something, and it's all.
I mean, yes, absolutely. There's no question about this. Black people are not treated as fairly as white people. That's just what it is. How can you deny that? You live in a delusion if you deny that. That's just how it is.
Your fault. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. And here's the deal. I think getting to, the question from Starchy Manning is a lot of the pushback that eventually conservatives finally mustered enough courage to say is, well, hey, look, can we just agree to a truce and let's just, we just won't talk about race at all.
Right. There was mistakes on both sides.
There were mistakes on both sides.
There were mistakes on both sides. What were the black mistakes? What are you talking about? Black people literally being killed by cops constantly. What do you mean there were mistakes on both sides?
Mistakes on both sides? No. That's.
Oh, he's not even saying that there were mistakes on both sides. He's saying there were mistakes on the black side and not the white side. That is vile. How does one arrive at this mindset? That is disgusting.
That's not actually the solution. White people are sinners who need Jesus. Within white European history, there has been sin that has required the blood of Jesus. But on the whole, for 1,000 years, European people have been worshiping Jesus as sinners, but sinners saved by grace. And on the whole, non-European people, much of the rest of the world, has been worshiping demons. Mm-hmm. European people have been building cathedrals. Non-European people have been building grass huts. And for those who are of
he's in the race supremacy category. The fact is, there are more genetic differences inside of a race between different white people than there are between white people and black people. There is no difference. And if you pluck a black person out of wherever and place them in a white home and raise them as though they're white, they will have the exact same performance, exact same test scores, exact same opportunities and everything as everybody else. There is no inferiority here. There's nothing inferior about black people or any other race. We are all equals. We are all humans. There is one race, the human race. That's just a fact. Now, this guy wants to believe that there is a superior race and that it's his race. Europeans have historically made a lot of technological progress, a lot of technological leaps. And as a result of having a lot of technological successes, they believe that they have taken over large swaths of the world. As a result of technological advancements, they have gained control of certain areas of society, culture, so on and so forth. But that doesn't make anybody superior to anybody else. They're not. They are not superior. This is pseudoscience. This idea that there's a superior and an inferior race. That's bullshit made up in the 1700s and then used to justify atrocities ever since. Now, there are problems in other countries, and especially African countries, where there's a lot of corruption and there's a deficit of technological, the deficit of technology and things like that. But that's all fixable. These are all social problems that can be fixed. There's no, unique thing about white people that uniquely makes them capable of controlling technology that nobody else can because they're not smart enough or something.
On European descent, but live in the Western world, you are exceedingly blessed. And the response shouldn't be, let's push back against wokeness and just say, nobody talk about race. No, the response should be, stop whining, stop throwing a fit, get it together. God has blessed you, and he blessed you in.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
Like, you don't have any idea what it's like to be walking down the street and be harassed by cops for absolutely no reason. You don't know what that's like. And for some reason, this guy is incapable of feeling empathy for anybody and can't even imagine it. He can't even bring himself to try to connect with that in any way. It's absolutely disgusting. Like, what's wrong with you? Really? How can you call yourself a pastor and not understand what empathy is or how it works or how you're supposed to feel about it or whatever? Disgusting. It's like evil and wrong. I get that anybody can be a pastor, and I don't believe that there should be a bar to being a pastor. Like, okay, you want to be a pastor, you learn the Bible enough or whatever, fine. But like, if there were a bar, then this guy would not meet it. This is like seriously disgusting stuff. I don't know what's broken in people that they are dead set on insisting that there are inferiors to them.
In large part through white people. So stop doing it. And also, as for you and your house, do your part to change the FBI crime statistics and stop killing people. That should have been the response.
It seems like
all right, like I've said before, there is a disparity between black crime statistics and white crime statistics or whatever, right? Like, it's a Nazi talking point. 1350 is what it's called. 1350. Why does 13% of the population, the black community, make up 50% of the murders? First of all, that's a cherry-picked number. Why are we picking out very specific subcategories to apply here? Second, most of that is black on black crime because because living in those neighborhoods, these impoverished neighborhoods, is difficult. And third, and most importantly, that crime statistic comes down to one of two things. It is either a social, societal issue that can be solved if that's the case, right? It's either a societal problem that's the result of poverty in this community because of a lack of generational wealth or any number of other things, or it's a genetic inferiority. If it's a social problem, it can be fixed. If you think it's a genetic inferiority, then you're a Nazi. That's what the Nazis believed. And it's also pseudoscientific trash. Joel Webbon hasn't come out and said, I believe that it's because they're genetically inferior, or at least come pretty close. But literally every single argument that the dude makes, everything that he says, adds up to that. It's identical to what a Nazi says about the community. Again, the Nazis were incorrect. I can't believe I'm sitting here saying this, but they were wrong about their interpretation of society. This dude, Joel Webbon, is a bad person and disgusting. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments.
We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. This is Shane Vaughn. I don't know if you guys remember him.
We would never be this defensive of Donald Trump if you would not have forced us into this cult mentality. Yeah. We would now fight for Donald Trump. Why? We believe in justice. And when we see a man that God's put his hand on being attacked night and day, you are forcing us to look like a cult. We're patient. And
poor fella, huh? Forcing him to look like a cult. Poor guy, such a victim.
We're patient and steadfast in our support of a single man. We are cult followers. Yes, we follow a man. Yes, we do. We drank the Kool-Aid and it's orange.
You know what this reminds me of? So he made a song, an AI song that's piss poor. Some people say it's piss poor. Some say it's a bop. I'll let you judge. But I want to listen to that in a second. But this is what it reminds me of, what he just said. My God, these Trump people are fascists, says this woman in a comic. Dude leans in with a MAGA hat. That attitude is what's pushing me to be fascist. Girl says, say what? Might as well. You say I'm a Nazi, so fine, I'll be a Nazi if that makes you happy. She says, it doesn't. He says, I bought this Waffen SS uniform for Halloween. You'll cry offensive, so maybe I'll just wear it every day. I just hate to do this. I feel bullied, really, he says as he shaves his head and gets a swastika tattoo. That's what Shane Vaughn just did, right? Isn't that what he just did? You're forcing me to be a cult follower. Nobody's forcing you to do anything. And no, it doesn't make me happy, Shane. Anyway, let's listen to this bop, ? Before we listen, though, I just got to point out, we've got a Bible here, or actually, I guess it's not a Bible. It's a It's a ho, blah, blah, blah. It just says ho and some random letters with a B at the front. And then we've got We Be People on the front. All right, let's listen to this song. He calls himself Professor Toto, by the way, because he thinks he's like the dog in The Wizard of Oz that was pulling the curtain back on the big bad, blah, blah, whatever.
Pastor, not just a man. He's a lion with a Bible and a constitutional plan. With a voice like thunder and a heart full of grace. He's calling out the lies right to their face. He's got a pope's name, but a prophet's fire. He's pulling back curtains, lifting folks higher from rumble to the pews. He won't back down. There's a holy kind of boldness in the small town crown.
From rumble to the pews, he won't back down. Is this an AI song? I don't know how it couldn't be AI, right? It's really good, actually. I gotta say, I think it's a bop. I don't like I don't like country music, honestly. I hate country music, but this shit's fire, right? It has to be AI. Who would be good enough to sing this song on Shane Vaughn's behalf, of all people?
He's Professor Toto, truth on the go, with a wink and a word, he's stealing the show.
Professor Toto, truth on the go, with a wink and a word, he's stealing the show. Okay.
Like that little dog in the land of Oz, he's shouting out truth and he's giving God the applause. He's exposing the smoke, breaking the spell, ringing that Liberty Bell. So shout it from the steeple, shout it to the town. Professor Toto's gonna turn it all around.
Dude, it's so embarrassing. Emily Sigmund says, motherfucker made an AI song about how great he is. It's so bad, dude. Oh my God. It's so bad.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
Got a red, white, and blue, burning deep in his bones, preaching kingdom and country from his humble home. He don't need a spotlight, don't need a stage, just YouTube Live and a righteous rage.
Don't need a spotlight, don't need a stage, just YouTube Life and a righteous what?
And a righteous rage.
A righteous rage. What is YouTube Life? Did he say YouTube Light? What the hell is he talking about?
With a Bible in hand and a founder's dream, he's waking up the church, raising up a team. He ain't fooled by glitter, he ain't sold on the spin. He's calling out wolves and sheepish skin. He's Professor Toto, truth on the go, with a wink and a word, he's stealing the show.
Why not a wink and a nod, he's stealing the show? It feels like that would make more sense, right? The internet was a mistake, right? It's so stupid, dude. So tell me in the comments, we're going to keep listening, but just tell me so far, is it a flop or is it a bop? We're going to do a poll. Do me a favor, guys, and follow me on Patreon. You don't have to donate, but if you could just follow me there, it would mean a lot, because I have access to like message people and stuff. And if something happens on YouTube, I would really like to be able to communicate with my audience. You know, it would mean a lot if you guys could do that. People saying it's a flop. I think it's a bop. I think it's, God, I think it's like cringy and terrible, the words, but whoa, hello, there's a cat here all of a sudden. This is my mascot right here. We got Miki. She's the Owen Morgan mascot. Anyway, I think it's a bop. Like, I don't know. He did a really good job. I'm sorry. The AI did a good job of putting together a pretty decent song. Good singing voice, good chords, you know, it's really decent, I think.
Like that little dog in the land of Oz, he's shouting out truth and he's giving God the applause. He's exposing the smoke, breaking the spell, ringing that Liberty Bell. So shout it from the steeple, shout it to the town. Professor Toto's gonna turn it all around.
Shout it from the steeple, shout it to the town. Professor Toto's gonna turn it all around. Okay.
Now the world may mock and the news may spin, but Toto don't flinch, he knows who wins. With a kingdom compass and a patriot soul, he's marching in truth till the trumpet rolls. Oh, Professor Toto, keep walking bold, the word in your heart and the fire in your soul. You're lifting the veil, calling truth by name, shining heaven's light on the devil's game. You're exposing the smoke, breaking the spell, ringing that liberty bell.
Ringing that liberty bell.
Shouting hallelujah as the lies fall down. Professor Toto's turning it around.
Professor Toto's turning it around.
Yeah, Professor Toto.
With his holy blah and his weeby people over here.
Keep pulling that curtain down.
Honestly, if this is anything, it's a testament to how far AI has come. Like, that's honestly, like, really flawless, right? As far as, like, music goes, that's really, really impressive. Anyway, I heard that and I knew I had to play it for you guys. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. I vote bop. Let me know in the comments, flop or bop.
We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. There's this dude named Scott McKay, aka the Patriot Street Fighter, who's been posting some wild stuff on Facebook. Breaking news, Charlie Kirk was a white hat operation. He's alive, he says. There's also this one. Breaking news, an actor from Central Casting was playing Charlie Kirk at the shooting. I mean, this dude is a QAnoner, but that is vile, right? To like, capitalize off of this dude's death to such a degree. Try to get attention by making these wild claims and to lie about him like this, to destroy his credibility and legacy and everything else. Disgusting. But Patriot Street Fighter, that's not even the most disgusting thing the dude said or done, believe it or not. I want to scroll through his Facebook in a second. We'll just introduce you to him.
Scott McKay, who my mother would be ashamed to hear speak publicly now, he's on the bench.
That's him. He's Scott McKay.
Until this thing comes down, you're going to get 100% Patriot Street Fighter. It isn't going to stop until these people are dead and in boxes in the ground and the child satanic traffic and abuse of children ends.
He's talking about his political enemies, who he considers to be his political enemies, people to the left of hunting immigrants for sport. This video, by the way, released in 2022, late April.
That is the end of this message.
Wait, it's not the end of the message then? I thought you said it was the end of this message. What happened? You're just going to keep going?
Satanic traffic and abuse of children ends. That is the end of this message. We have a responsibility to save these kids. These elite powers in D.C., state governments, district attorneys, police officers, all the people that we look to for authority and respect in this world, these people are involved in this nightmare.
It's absolutely psychotic, some of the stuff he's said and done. Check this one out.
You are now in this war. That's why you're here. Are you going to answer Christ's call?
This one is late March 2022.
Are you going to be part of the ascending Christ consciousness on this planet so we bury this satanic architecture which has infiltrated every aspect of society? The Khazarian Mafia has been killing you.
Khazarian Mafia is this big, complicated QAnon thing, but basically it's anti-patriot COVID people who are fabricating COVID and all this other nonsense.
They're now killing you in hospitals. They're killing you in the streets. They launched Antifa and BLM. That's when I blew the gasket. That's when I said, okay, no governor, no president, no state legislature is going to say it. Then I'm going to say it. I'm going to come out and I'm going to rain this storm down on all these scumbags until they are dead.
Yeah, it's the left using violent rhetoric, right?
Until they are, yeah.
It's the left that's been violent this whole time. This is pure, unadulterated shout outs to violence, to killing your political enemies. And I've been covering right-wing extremist rhetoric like this for literally 10 years since I started on YouTube. 10 years. This guy is one of the most depraved, though, in one man's humble opinion. Listen to this one.
For the next 18 months, I got hammered for, talking about why Trump was going to win easily. And that was by my Republican friends, mind.
This is 2022. This is January 25th, 2022.
Wow. So finally, he wins. The left goes insane. I pulled back.
Talking about 2016?
I didn't need to be on social media with all the insanities. People are totally crazy. And then...
People are totally crazy. And remember what that last clip we just watched was, with him saying that he won't stop until people are dead.
Right?
Antifa, or I should say the deep state, the Khazarian mafia, deployed their next two weapons, Antifa, BLM, and I watched our country's leadership not only stand there and watch our major cities being burned to the ground, I watched them facilitating it.
This is delusion. Our major cities were not burned to the ground during the George Floyd protest, I'm assuming. They were protests, largely peaceful. There were some people who took advantage of chaos and protests to loot or whatever, but by and large, it was almost entirely peaceful. I know that, a lot of people believe otherwise, but that's just what it is, okay? I lived through it. I watched it happen. I was a political commentator at the time, and I remember how this played out. There was basically no violence, almost exclusively peaceful protests. But with any protests, there's going to be some, opportunistic faction that takes advantage of things. It was almost exclusively peaceful. And these people blew that up to the absolute max and turned it into, they burned down our cities. No, they didn't. New York City is still standing. All these, Minneapolis is still standing. It's all still there.
These people weren't paying attention at this time, and I know that because they're claiming, well, you guys made it unpeaceful, and it was violent and terrible. Meanwhile, I remember how old was I, 11? I was 11, almost 12, watching people get tear gas thrown at them for just standing there. I watched videos of people standing there and then having police throw tear gas at them.
And one of the main events these people are probably referencing when they say the cities were burned down incorrectly was that police precinct 5 or whatever it was in Minneapolis was set afire and burned to the ground. That police precinct absolutely was burned down. Do you know who lit the fire? It was a Boogaloo Boy, a Trump extremist faction. It was Donald Trump supporters that burned that police precinct to the ground because they wanted to spark a race riot, a race war. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear any of this nonsense. Now, he mentioned the Khazarian Mafia a second ago. Let's just kind of read through this short thing on it. The Khazarian Mafia is a conspiracy theory that falsely claims a secret group of Jewish elites, supposedly descended from the medieval Khazar kingdom, controls world events. This theory combines anti-Semitic tropes with historical misrepresentations. Historically, the Khazars were a Turkic people who established a kingdom between the Black and Caspian Seas from roughly the 7th to 10th centuries. Some Khazar elites did convert to Judaism, though the extent is debated by historians. The conspiracy theory grossly distorts this history to promote anti-Semitic narratives about Jewish people secretly controlling banks, governments, and media. So I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. QAnon is a rebranded Nazi death cult. There were conspiracy theories floating around in Germany all the way back then. And this idea of Jewish elites like the Rothschilds controlling things like puppet masters was a conspiracy theory. It was nonsense. It's not true. And here we have one more conspiracy theory shared between QAnon and the Nazis. It's a rebranded Nazi death cult. This theory is part of QAnon and similar extremist ideologies that blame complex world problems on supposed cabals of elites. It recycles centuries-old anti-Semitic conspiracy theories in new packaging. These narratives have been used to justify violence and discrimination against Jewish communities. The actual drivers of global economic and political systems involve complex interactions between governments, corporations, international organizations, and various interest groups, not secret ethnic cabals. Anyway, so that's what he means when he says Khazarian Mafia.
governors, mayors, police commissioners, Washington, D.C., and I blew a gasket one day.
Yeah, no, knock me over with a feather. You blew a gasket one day, you say. Okay, go on, I'm listening.
And I blew a gasket one day and said, I've had enough of watching this bullshit. If nobody's going to tell the world the truth, I guess I'm going to have to. So I started a radio show called The Tipping Point on Revolution Radio. And it was going to be more about human consciousness and spiritual ascension to help everybody rise through this kind of stuff. But the very first show became this high-octane, full-throttle truth hammer beating the shit out of every scumbag in the world like...
High-octane truth hammer, absolutely, yes.
World like George H.W. Bush, the trafficking, child pedophile, drug runner, leader of the Fourth Reich Nazi.
Jesus.
I'm sorry, bro. You think George H.W. Bush was a Fourth Reich Nazi?
That was a claim.
Okay. I mean, I didn't like Herb either, really. George Herbert Walker Bush. I didn't like him, but he was not the Fourth Reich Nazi. Like, get a grip on reality, really. Unblow that gasket.
And it went from there. And I tried to stop myself on the next show to make it a higher vibrational message. It turned out to this high-octane, full-throttle truth hammer. And
didn't he literally just say that? Like, okay.
By the way, if absolutely no one is telling the world the truth, it's probably not true. If there's not a single soul out there who is making the same claims as you, or if there are like
should at least
1,000 people and only.
And you should at the very least like investigate it heavily. This guy obviously just fell right into the rabbit hole and believes everything that he saw. And someone says, push it to the limit. The limit! Yes, exactly. The limit! All right, let's continue.
The producers seemed to love it. I did because it started to pacify my soul from what built up in me from all these scumbags that call themselves political leaders. And
which is anybody to the left, of course, in his mind.
To be fair, I can agree that political leaders aren't generally great, but everyone.
But he's saying that the people on the left are the scumbags and Donald Trump is the savior of humanity.
Yeah, and I'm saying all political leaders generally aren't the best.
Yeah, many of them aren't. There are a couple that I really respect. Bernie Sanders, love him or hate him, is about as honest as they come. And honestly has people's best interests in mind. Mamdani honestly has people's best interests in mind at the moment, it seems to me.
That just went for 10 months. And then after the election, and they stole the election as I predicted they would, as I predicted Fox
oh my God.
News would knife them in the back because they're criminals and they're controlled opposition too. And they did that on the night of the election. And then finally the people believed me.
By the way, if the left stole the election, if Democrats stole the election in 2020, why in the world would we not do it now? Like,
yeah,
it was a stolen election when we won in 2020, but we just didn't feel like it. We got a little bit lazy. Sorry, guys.
So incredibly stupid. And they still believe the 2020 nonsense. It's sad. The stupid part of this quote-unquote theory that Charlie Kirk is still alive is that it would change jack at this point if it was true. Yeah, exactly. Like, why are you even bothering with this? I wanted to look at some of Scott McKay's other Facebook posts because some of them are downright entertaining. Fake Obama about to be arrested. Stand by. Get ready. And if you just kind of look in the comments here, he was executed in 2017.
Who? Obama?
Obama. Teresa Provenzano. Yes, he was with all the others. Oh yeah, okay. I'm reading the person's name they're responding to. Yes, he was with all the others. Sure was. What's this Jeopardy thing? What's this say? I can't read this.
Oh, treason.
Oh, okay. Wow. Make no mistake, Obama was not a president. He was a sleeper cell terrorist groomed and planted in office to overthrow our government.
That's hilarious.
Dude was the president for 8 years, and at no point did he, quote-unquote, overthrow the government or destroy anything or whatever. He brought us back from the brink of an economic disaster that was manufactured by George W. Bush. I don't know how these people, like, what's going through your head that you can say something like that all these years later. It's psychotic. Seems we have a couple of fake Trumps as well. What's this say? Let's let body double with cool emoji.
Trump is not fake. A double maybe, but not fake. You're reading fake news about him. He said a few weeks ago that he wanted whatever lists that there were being released. whatever lists there were released. So what if he was a friend to Epstein? That doesn't mean he did anything wrong. But Obama's a fake. Obama's a fake.
The defense. So what if he was a friend to Epstein? At least they're admitting he was Epstein's friend now. Like, piercing that bubble was an uphill battle. Or perhaps you've been duped. It's possible. Don't hold him up as a saint. That's blind faith. Be smarter than that. You know, I've seen a lot of people on the right turning on Donald Trump, and not because of anything he's done, but because they see that he's old and sick and not going to be around forever. So they're trying to distance themselves from him. They're getting an early jump on distancing themselves is what it is. That's fascinating.
It's so like insane to me that this person commented under a post calling Obama a fake and said, "No, Trump isn't a fake. You're crazy."
Absolutely insane.
Yes, that's right. 100%. He was executed years ago. Now, the actor has to be gone. What better plan than to send the actor Obama to prison? What?
I know this will happen. It takes time. Bye, 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 bye. Come on, Scott. Fake a bozo. Don't you think it's high time this fake BS time is up? Is still fake Trump? Stop lying. What? I'm so confused by that. Anyway. Oh, yeah, he's super into crypto scams, too, this guy. This may be your final opportunity to complete the task. Secure XRP to your Quantum Ledger account. Your Quantum Ledger account.
The U.S. Crypto Reserve will elevate this critical industry after years of corrupt attacks by the Biden administration, which is why my executive order on digital assets directed to the Presidential Working Group to move forward on a crypto strategic reserve that includes XRP, SOL, and ADA. I'll make sure the U.S. is the crypto capital of the world. We are making America great again.
I'm not actually sure if that's real. These QAnon types of people have a tendency to like fabricate Trump posts to try to like garner support for their causes. I actually have a famous example of this. Well, not famous. Famous to me. Famous in my heart. I'm in a bunch of QAnon groups on Telegram because they're so entertaining. And I found this in one of them, this video I want to show you real fast. But just here, this is one of the groups I'm in, QAnon, Q17. They're always posting gold scams in here. They're everywhere.
I love joining random, like, fake random conversations and pretending to be one of them. Because it's just so stupid.
Yeah, it's super entertaining, though. I was looking for specific examples. But yeah, gold scams are prevalent. Check this video out. I found it in one of those gold scam like Telegram channels.
Are you listening?
This is pre-AI.
Pay attention, this is very important. The Trump Golden $1,000 bill is something that I made to financially help all Americans, everyone, including you. The bill is amazing, okay? It is golden, and every bill has its very own serial number. It's true. America will be wealthy again, folks, okay? And every true patriot, even everyone in the QAnon forums, every true patriot must own at least 100 Trump bucks, because production, my friends, is like Nancy Pelosi's vocabulary, very limited. So get your Trump Golden $1,000 bill before we run out completely.
Point is that they run these crypto scams, these gold scams. They run, like, Trump's voter base is so gullible, unfortunately. They're so gullible. They will do literally whatever Trump tells them to do. So people like Scott McKay take advantage of that and sometimes post fake stuff. And I don't know if this one is real. This crypto thing is my point. But let's just scroll through a little more. For those who heed my advice on protecting their assets, kudos. It's unfolding already. Trump asserts he's committed to making America the crypto capital. I mean, you see what I'm saying? When Trump says stop talking about Epstein, what do? They talk about Epstein nonstop. 5D chess move.
What does that even mean?
It means he thinks that Donald Trump actually wants the Epstein files released, and that he said don't talk about Epstein so that people would talk about it more.
I find claims like that so crazy. Or when people say, and what if blah, blah, blah is in the files? We don't worship our politicians. If there's someone in those files, we need to know so that we can get rid of them.
Totally. I'm all in. I don't actually think that Bill Clinton was guilty. And I have complex reasons for suspecting he was probably just one of the high-profile people that was actually legitimately working with him. If he is guilty, though, send him to prison. If he's guilty, send him to prison. Any of them. I don't care who it is.
They don't think that the way they idolize Trump is worship or idolization. Therefore, they believe that everyone worships whatever politician like that. MAGA thinks that far right or far left people worship Biden or Kamala in the exact same way, and they don't. And liberals don't. That's not a normal way to view your politicians if you think that they can't do anything wrong.
It's sad. And you know, there was a cult of personality like this with Hitler as well. There was a cult of personality like this with Kim Il-sung in North Korea. In authoritarian, totalitarian regimes like this, they form out, as far as I can tell, when a cult of personality forms around a person and they become scandal-proof. When they can do literally anything and not lose supporters, that's a recipe for an authoritarian regime.
If you find yourself believing that your politician or someone that you look up to can and has done no wrong, and then you sit there and say, the other side thinks that too, and that's why they won't blah, 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 blah. There's something deeper going on, and you need to research more.
Check this out. This is a clip from his Instagram or whatever.
When you try to achieve your own greatness, there's always opposition. It just is the way it is.
Okay.
Because you are trying to do something unrelatable to people who feel that mediocrity is their calling, and only because the Matrix taught them that. It isn't true. They just haven't discovered it.
The Matrix. Okay, I don't care if you try to do something that's your calling or whatever. What?
And when you're moving forward and moving beyond that, of course they're going to cast judgment because you're kind of the odd person out. So let me say this. If you're in a situation where you're trying to better yourself in whatever the way that may be, and you have those painful remarks, attacks, gossip,
Bro, look, I spent a lot of time learning how to program, okay? Learning Python, C++, Java. Not one single person gave me a painful remark about that. I spent a lot of time reading about retro games and collecting them and playing them and stuff. Not one painful remark. You know why? Because I'm not running around telling people that COVID is a conspiracy theory, that Charlie Kirk is secretly alive and he's a white hat working for the military or some other nonsense. What you're doing, you're not being criticized for, quote unquote, seeking your truth or something, or aspiring to something more than mediocrity. You're getting that criticism because you're a bad person, okay? Because the things that you're doing are directly leading to societal harm by like lying about people and spreading insane conspiracies.
Judgment, what people getting in your way, people trying to sabotage what you're doing for whatever reason.
I'm such a victim.
Understand it. Understand this. That is part of the experience of
being a conspiracy theorist,
achieving greatness. I've never achieved mine. I'm working on it, and I believe a lot of people don't work on theirs because of these factors. So just remember, when you're in the pursuit for something that's greater than what you've done at this point in your life, don't expect the people that are at that understanding or development level to receive you the same, because you're distancing yourself from them in their life, in their position, because they haven't discovered or even realized that they have their own power. And it
totally, absolutely
makes them feel, I don't know, something that causes that kind of behavior. But just remember, my point is this, and I can say this, virtually everything that I've done.
Just cut it off, like that cut off mid-sentence. Why didn't you post the whole video? Anyway, yeah,
People
Scott
do
McKay.
that so much.
What?
People do that so much where they cut off randomly. It's to get more views.
Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. Scott McKay is a scumbag, in my personal opinion, and he wants to, and he's been saying this for years, he wants to kill anybody to the left of hunting immigrants for sport.
That's all I've got for you. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check me out on Patreon. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they worked together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.